It's my pleasure now to introduce our trainer for today's session, Natalia Tchamiashvili. Natalia is the founder of the Volunteer Hub and a leading expert in organizational development, advocacy, and leadership. With over 5 years, Natalia, correct me please if I'm not right, with over 5 years of experience as a trainer and invited lecturer, her insights are invaluable. Natalia has also made significant strides in digital content creation, engaging an impressive community of up to 80,000 people on Facebook and 60,000 on TikTok. Her expertise and ability to connect with people through her impactful content are truly inspiring. So today, Natalia will lead us in a session of leadership and, of course, eco-influencing, which promises to be enlightening. Natalia, the floor is yours.
George, thank you so much for introducing me. I'm so happy to be here. And about my experience, I started my leadership journey with US Embassy in Georgia. We have this program, it's called Global UGrad. And with this program, I had an opportunity to travel to the United States, where covered volunteering opportunities, and I discovered that so many people have some needs that are not met in the society, and we as individuals can help and jump in and solve some kind of problems. For example, I was organizing some movie sessions and concerts for elderly people, and also mothers, and so on and so on, people with special needs. And this was one of the best experiences that I ever had in my life. And when I came back, I started to use this experience and also the knowledge, leadership-related knowledge that Global UGrad gave to me in practice. And I started this organization. It's called Volunteer Hub, with some of my friends, also very experienced. And then as the founders of this organization, we had the need to communicate with our audience, right? And in our case, we didn't have funding for that, and we decided to discover different kind of opportunities for that. And we discovered TikTok and we discovered Facebook. That's how we started our channels, and that's how we have 80,000 members in the Facebook group right now, and I have 60,000 followers on TikTok. Mostly we communicate social and political problems with our audiences, and we also provide information about opportunities that might be useful in terms of like solving some of the problems in the society through individuals. So first, individuals get education and access to different opportunities, and then they are equipped with the qualities that they can use to help the society and make a change in the society. This is my background, and now I'm willing to start our presentation. I'm going to take 50 minutes of your time today, and usually I like to have a really interactive environment with my sessions. So if you want to speak up and say something, I'm happy to hear. Also, I would like to ask you to turn on your cameras, because that will be very helpful for me to understand how you feel about the program, if you like it or not. If you don't like it, please also say this out loud, so I will be able to change something and adapt to your interests. I see many Georgians here, and some of them are coming from our Facebook groups or my TikTok channel, and some of them are my students in the university, and I'm so happy to see you again as the students. Okay, shall we start the presentation? Just tell me if you see my screen. There should be a presentation about...
Yeah, we can see it.
Yes, we can see your screen perfectly.
Till we start, I just wanted to ask you about your impressions. How do you feel about leadership, and what comes to your mind when you think of leadership, or who comes to your mind? Just any kind of word that you can link with leadership. Just turn on your camera and you can speak, whoever wants to speak, or you can as well.
I can add a comment. Leadership, I think, is a tool to gather people who have the same goals and take these people and work to achieve that goal. And yeah, that is a tool just to do.
Thank you so much, Ana Maria. That's very useful to start with. Is there anyone who wants to add something? Maybe the person that comes to your mind when you think of leadership. Just whatever you want to say.
The first thing that comes in my mind when I think about the leadership is like some abstract president and a confident person, which can lead other people and make them follow the ideas.
Yeah, so you think of more like in political context, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Anyone else? Okay, so there are two main perceptions of leadership in the society. Some people think that the person who manages other people is called a leader. I just want to differentiate between the leader and the manager. The manager is the person who manages people, and the leader is something else. And it is what Ana Maria just told us. The leader is the person who inspires, motivates, and guides individuals to gather around one common idea or goal, and then they act accordingly to the social or political change in the society. And requires two very different kinds of skills, and this is an application that I have for you. What do you think? What qualities are necessary in order to be a leader? Anyone?
I think they should be empathetic towards people. They should be understanding. They should be inspiring, courageous, very open to new ideas and new challenges. A risk taker, maybe.
Thank you so much.
Sometimes that is needed. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So it depends on the leadership style. There are different kinds of leadership styles, right? For example, one of them is called the dictator. And these kind of leaders don't really have empathy towards people that are in their teams. They are like task over relationship people, and they try to like reach the goal, reach the vision that they have, and they don't really care about the people. But right now, this kind of dictatorship style is a kind of, you know, nobody cares about it anymore, especially in the liberal countries. And right now, other kinds of leadership styles are more promoted. And the leader who has this empathy towards the members of the team, and the leader who feels and understands the needs of people, happens to be a better leader in society, especially when we talk about activism, right, and social and political change. So what Ana Maria said is actually true. These are the qualities that leader should have in order to be a leader and guide other people. And we also have several other qualities. If anyone wants to add something, please just turn on your microphone and say it. And these are the qualities that I think are the pillars of the leadership. First of all, the leader should have a visionary thinking, right? The leader should have the vision is the solution for the problem that this leader is focusing on, and also how the solution looks like in reality. And also, leaders should know what are the steps that the team has to take in order to reach this vision. So it means that leaders should be able to plan strategically, right? And strategic planning includes different kinds of elements. For example, strategic planning means that the leader should be realistic, right? The leader should understand the circumstances and should be rational, because there are some people who are great at speaking and who can paint the vision that is wonderful for everyone. And this is more about politicians who are very populist. They can find a common ground for everyone and the goal that they want to achieve together. But sometimes it is not realistic, right? If you promise people that you're going to have free food, free, I don't know, housing for everyone, nobody has to work, nobody has to struggle, free healthcare for everyone, regardless anything. This is not realistic, right? Somebody has to accumulate money. But there are some politicians who have this kind of ideas, and they happen to be very passionate sometimes, and they happen to convince people to vote for them. And this is not strategic planning, and this is not how the real leader should be, because these kind of strategies are usually short term. It might gather people in a short period of time, but people disappear when they cannot reach the goal or vision in reality. Effective communication, this is also what Ana Maria just told us. It's very important for the leader, and the part of effective communication is empathy as well. Leaders should feel and leader should be able to have this connection with the members of the group or team in order to understand where are the problems, for example, what are the weaknesses in the team, how can these weaknesses be solved, who can replace who, and so on. And for the leader, it is really important to give a feedback to the team members as well, right? And feedback is not easy to receive for everyone. This is a skill, giving the feedback, and also receiving the feedback is the skill. And there are different kind of strategies in order to give the feedback. And I just wanted to mention one of them. It is called sandwich. Have you ever heard of it? What is sandwich in terms of feedback? Ana Maria notes. Can you explain to us, Ana Maria?
Like first you start with commenting on good stuff, then you say some negative stuff that needs to be improved, and then you end up with good comments as well.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. This is one of the techniques, right? That way you try to compliment someone, and then you try to have a little bit of bad information that you need to deliver, and then you wrap up in a good way so the person doesn't feel. So the information is balanced emotionally, and the person who is receiving the feedback doesn't feel that there is something wrong. One more thing that leaders should be able to do is to give a feedback without pointing at the person. So you shouldn't say that, oh, you were a bad person because you couldn't, I don't know, mobilize people for this event, right? You should be able to discover what's done in the right way, and you should point at the acts, not at the person. Do you understand what I mean? And can you hear me? Because my computer just told me that my connection is unstable.
No, we can hear you very well.
Okay, perfect. So when we criticize the person, we shouldn't say that we criticize the person, right? We criticize the job that this person does. This is really important. So that person doesn't take it personally, and that person has a space to improve without feeling guilty or, excluded from the team. And it is also important to have direct communication with the team members. So if something happens and this bad event is connected with just one member of the team, you should have a private conversation and you should not just say it out loud. So you should not shame someone, right? Because shame is a bad thing, and usually people have really negative emotions when they are ashamed in the team. Okay. Relationship building is also very important for the leaders, because this is how operate in a long term, right? In a long term, it is impossible to be the teammate with someone who you don't like, right? And this connection is super, super important, and leader should be able to find common ground and common interests among the team members. And then leader should be able to provide some kind of activities that the team members enjoy. This may not be connected to the vision or the goals that they have, but this should be something that they really, really enjoy as a team. They should have some time together that they appreciate. And the last thing I wanted to talk about is resilience. Anna Maria kind of said it. So leaders are in front of everything, right? Leaders are the people who get the first attacks and the strongest attacks. And for the leader, it is really important to be resilient and to be able to avoid emotional damage as a person. Because if the leader is demotivated, or if the leader doesn't believe in the cause, or if the leader doesn't believe that something is feasible, then nobody in the team believes it, right? The leader is someone who inspires other, who motivates other. And if the leader is not motivated, others are not motivated. And the problem here is that for the other team members, there is always one person who cares and who tries to motivate them, and this is the leader, but the leader doesn't have anyone, right? So this person should be able to motivate himself or herself. And this is the main difference, and this is the most difficult part of leadership, because no matter what, leaders should continue walking to the goal, and no matter what, leaders should get the first attacks. Do you agree with this? Does anyone want to add something here?
Who are not experts on the topic, of course.
But I want to hear from you, and if you don't like the content, I will just change it. I have different versions.
No, the content is very, very, very interesting. Very interesting.
That's cool.
And thank you for that.
Okay, let's finish the leadership part quickly.
There is a question in the chat.
Okay, let me check it. Let's check it because I cannot.
It's a question from Amanda. I don't know. I cannot see that.
In the team, what if a person undermines your leadership and it's not a problem among members, but with one person and the leader? Oh, that's a good question. Usually what we do in the beginning when we create the team, we try to understand how the people feel about us. If we are okay, no problem. We can communicate this way in the chat. So usually, of course, this risk exists in every team, but what we do is that we try to manage expectations in the beginning, okay, till we create the team. And in the beginning, we try to kind of create the environment where everyone understands who is the leader. But sometimes leaders fail, which means that leaders should be able to listen to the team members and get the feedback. And if, for example, everyone is comfortable that the leader is not appreciated, it means that the leader failed. So leader has to change something. And it is really, really important to understand when you fail, to say that you failed and you just, get rid of your position. And this is especially important for activists and politicians, because, for example, in Georgia, we have some of the failed political parties which are failed just because of their leaders. People would follow the parties, but they don't like leaders anymore. But these leaders don't go anywhere because they don't understand that they are the problems. So this is a very hypothetical situation, and we don't know what is happening in the team. But usually, if all the team members are happy that the leader is not appreciated, it means that the leader should go. And in other cases, we try to kind of manage risks in the beginning. And when we create the team, this should be one of the qualities that we look at when we have a conversation with the team members in the beginning. Okay, we should ask the question, what kind of leaders do they want in the team, if they have ever participated in the project where they had a leader, and what are the qualities that they respect in the leader, and so on. So that way we know what kind of leaders do they need, and in the beginning we plan accordingly. And still, if this kind of thing happens, and it happens sometimes, then we try to act accordingly, do the monitoring or evaluation in the team and talk to everyone. And if we see that problem is that person, then sometimes we have to remove that person from the team. But if we see that the problem is in us, then we should say that we are no longer the leader and the team needs another leader. Please just tell me if I answered your question and if you're happy with the answer. If not, you can just come up with a follow-up question and I will try to answer. Okay. I will try to continue our presentation. Do you see the screen?
Yeah, we can see it.
Great. Okay, I'll get the yes as an answer. So the role of the leaders usually is to mobilize people, right? That's why we have a leader. So this is the first thing, first level of leadership when you try to build a team. And then you try to build coalitions. You try to understand who are the stakeholders around the problem or issue, and you try to find coalition members, stakeholders who are willing to collaborate with you. And then you try to advocate for change, right? And this kind of advocating has different kind of meanings and means. Sometimes advocating means just standing in front of parliament, and sometimes it is just filming the video for TikTok. Both of them are appreciated, and it depends on an issue and it depends on an event, right? What kind of means of advocacy do we take into consideration? And of course, the leader should inspire hope, and leader should be the person who believes the most in the cause. In terms of eco-influencing, this is a new term. Just recently, people started to use this term. And usually when we say eco-influencers, we mean someone who is online and who is trying to be a leader in a digital space. And these kind of influencers try to educate, inspire, and motivate their followers to adopt more sustainable lifestyles, right? And some of the people are more into veganism. Some of the people are more into sustainable development, renewable energy, and so on. So in this niche, in this eco-influencing, you still have different kinds of directions. We have several people actually who are considered to be eco-influencers, and Greta Thunberg is one of them. Of course, everybody knows about her. I want to say a few things about her, but till we start, do you remember any other persons or faces or accounts that you follow or not follow, but you see online who are doing eco-influencing? Please just turn on your camera and tell me whatever you think. Microphone, I'm sorry. Just any other.
I can remember some, like a couple of Georgian influencers who have made some videos about sustainability and recycling. And I know some organizations also who are talking about these issues.
And,
I don't know about worldwide.
yeah. Usually we have local eco-influencers, and this is really interesting because it's part of activism, and activism is like bottom up, right? First you have a problem which is local, and then you try to make it important, be loud about it. So this is a problem that people have, then activists start to talk about it. That's why we have so many local influencers and less likely global influencers, but we also have global influencers who started as locals and then they became global. This is really nice that you remember some Georgian influencers, but my impression is that we don't really have eco influencers in Georgia, but we do have some influencers who sometimes make some videos about eco topics. Do you agree? Or do you remember someone who is like dedicated to this topic? Yeah. So for us, it's a relatively new niche and not many people know about it, but it's an interesting niche and it's empty for anyone who wants to be an influencer. But the great thing is that many influencers started to talk about these issues and they started to include activism in their content in Georgia. And this is changing a lot because last year it was very different. Most of the influencers were like creating fashion-related content or lifestyle-related content. And right now they changed their content a lot in a good way. I just want to hear from other countries if you have anyone who is like dedicated to eco topics. And then we can discuss some of the global influencers as well. You can use the chat to communicate. It's up to you. Okay, not really. I take no as an answer in here. So yeah, it's a new thing, even for Georgia, and some of the organizations started to talk to the influencers and collaborate with them. Sometimes they have a budget for that, sometimes it's without budget, but organizations and activists themselves try to create content together and reach out to the larger audience because, for example, I know Ana Maria and I know what kind of content she watches in general, and she's interested in these kind of topics, right? And when you're interested in algorithm works this way, it gives you this kind of content that you are interested in. But usually people who are interested in green topics are the ones who are already living really eco-friendly life. And we non-governmental organizations and civil society try to reach out to the people and audiences who are less educated about these topics. So influencers are great to communicate this kind of topics. Okay, now I'm going to talk about Greta, who is one of the most famous eco influencers in the world. She uses Twitter as her main channel to communicate everyday news, and she creates a lot of content. And also she does different kinds of things. First of all, we have to mention the school strikes that she came up with. This is a strategy where the children and school kids strike school, so they don't go to the school on Fridays and they try to protest together. And this is called Fridays for Future movement. And it is very interesting and it's working in some cases, but it's not gonna work in Georgia for sure, because usually when you do this kind of strike, your mission is to influence political people, right? Political opinions. And it depends how serious politicians are in general, and it depends. It needs some kind of preparation before you start this kind of strikes, because when you start a strike and there is absolutely no awareness, it is impossible to influence politics and social change. And in Greta's case, this is different because it had preparation by other people, and the school strikes really work in her case. And you also might heard from her the public speaking, right? Do you remember her speech at United Nations Climate Change Conference? Yeah. It is one of the most famous speeches in the world, and it was very powerful. I'm gonna post a link in the chat as well if someone wants to watch it. She criticized world leaders for their inaction, and it was very powerful because she was very direct, right? She was asking for the measures, immediate measures, and she really did her job because after that, she's a famous name around the globe, and she's invited to the conferences. She also does some kind of collaborations with scientists, and she studies science. She also goes to the labs and tries to discover different things, and then she tries to communicate this online with her followers. And she also has educational initiatives, right? She tries to kind of educate people, and she has seminars, conferences, and so on. She is also invited by local influencers a lot to give a speech online, and she's always happy to communicate, and she's always happy to participate. So if you plan something, remember that you can rely on some people, and Greta is one of them, and another person is Paul McCartney, one of the most famous names in the world. And he actually did something that really amazed me. So in Georgia, we have this cafe. It's called Mziuri. And this cafe is social cafe, which means that this cafe tries to promote social and political change in the society. And it has been one of the first cafes which was adapted for the people with special needs, and they were also adapted for mothers with toddlers and newborns. This is, for Europeans, maybe nothing because it's a EU standard, but in Georgia, we don't really have places which are adapted to people who have special needs. So this cafe was revolutionary in Georgia. They were also giving spaces for activists and musicians who wanted to raise money, for example, for some kind of cause. And they are really, really active. And the EU is also engaged in this process. EU also funds some of the programs that they have. But this year, the government decided to close the cafe because of the rent, because so this is a public space that they are in, and the government decided to not to rent this place anymore. And then Paul McCartney just popped up and he said that he supports Cafe Mziuri, which was great because this is such a big name. He has never been to Georgia. He's not connected to Georgia at all. But when he heard about this Cafe Mziuri, which promotes veganism in general, and meat-free Mondays is one of the programs that they have, Paul McCartney decided to help, and he started his activism in Georgia, which is really interesting. And this kind of things happens. If you want someone to participate in your local project, don't limit yourself. Sometimes you can just reach out to Paul McCartney or Greta, and they will be happy to call up with you. Okay, so about Paul McCartney, he's one of the people who promotes vegetarianism in general, and he always has this, he has been a vocal advocate for vegetarianism, which means that he has TV appearances. He also promotes vegetarianism through his channels, and you might also heard about animal rights activism that he does. For example, he says that cruelty should be over in terms of animal treating, and he also donates some money to the organizations who protect animals. And he also tries to raise awareness and money at the same time for the animals. He also promotes sustainable living. which is also great thing about him. He tries to protect biodiversity and preserving natural habitats in general. And I'm just curious, have you ever heard of him? Like, have you seen anything like that in general? Maybe for Georgians, Café Mziuri, this cafe is very, something that you know. But maybe other projects that Paul McCartney does? No? Okay. So the thing is, usually when we talk about activism is more powerful when it comes from society than when it comes from someone from far away, right? So the reason why Paul McCartney said something about Café Mziuri is that people reach out from here, from Georgia, and it is really important to have these kind of connections, but also remember that you, whoever you are, it doesn't matter. You might be the school kid like Freda. If you start your activism and if you will be able to mobilize people around the goal, you will be more successful than someone who is somewhere far away. And I have some tips for people who want to become an eco-influencer. We do have some comments here, right? In the chat. Oh, okay. We have several people from Croatia, if anyone wants to follow, because I'm really into influencer work. I'm an influencer by myself as well. Content creator is more appropriate term for that. And I also work with influencers to promote social and political change in general. Right now in Georgia, the green issues are not as popular because EU integration is one of the biggest issues that we have here, and everybody's concentrating on that. But I'm also willing to help someone to start the account, which will be built around this topic. Okay, we have global influencers from UK as well. That's great. If anyone wants to kind of take a note and follow those people, that would be great. And if you want to become an eco-influencer, I have some tips for you. First of all, you need to identify your niche. In general, when you create the content and when your content is around different topics, it is harder to mobilize people. When you talk about the same niche, which means that you choose the subtopic from the topic and you create content about that, this is more powerful. For example, if you want to become an eco-influencer, you should start from, I don't know, sustainable development or veganism or animal rights, one of those. And then you create more and more content about this. You create also opportunities, offline opportunities for people to meet and discuss the topic and then plan some activities together. And then if you want to become a bigger influencer and cover the whole topic, then you can add some of the issues from other sub niches and subtopics as well. Okay, first you start from very, very small niche and then you grow out of it. Of course, you need to have a strong online presence, which means that you choose your channels and you create content for the channel. For example, the easiest to start is TikTok, because algorithm works in this way. When you create the content, TikTok tries to help you, and it is easier to reach out to your first audiences on TikTok. And then you can try and move on to different platforms, such as, for example, Instagram or Facebook. Facebook is also very good for activism. And in terms of Facebook, you can also use Facebook groups to promote your content. And the hardest is YouTube to build, but the problem is problem and also advantage is that if you have a YouTube channel, it means that you have a fan base. Usually when people follow you on YouTube, they are really dedicated towards your content and you can really build a community on YouTube. Personally, I don't have a YouTube account because it requires time and an energy and also some resources, such as you need really good quality camera, really good quality lighting, sound, editing, and so on. And for TikTok, it's easier. You just have your phone and that's it. That's enough for TikTok content, right? And then when you have the content published, you should try to engage with your audience. You should try to answer all the questions that they have. You should also gather some of the questions and issues that are in your comment section and then respond to it. Usually you're a good eco-influencer or influencer in general when you try to be as responsive as possible. So first, you are proactive, you come up with the topics and you just talk about it. And then your audience leads you to different topics. They will ask you to create content on, for example, if you have a content about a renewable energy, they might ask you to create content on animal rights. And then when you respond, it creates really nice dynamic because more and more people want to comment on your video because they know that they will get an answer and they will be able to be the part of the discussion. And it is also important to collaborate with other influencers. Usually, if you don't have eco-influencers, you should have some people who are influencing in your countries. They might be called opinion leaders, and sometimes these are really powerful activists or really powerful singers, songwriters, I don't know, artists who are really dedicated towards the topic, and they want to speak up, but they don't have their channels. That's why they are not called influencers, okay? This is a difference between opinion maker and the influencer. Influencer has a channel, for example, TikTok, Instagram, whatever, and opinion makers are more like people who don't really communicate on a daily basis through their social media channels, but they are powerful, and whatever they say, it's powerful, and it can change the world. It is really important to collaborate with public opinion leaders and also with influencers who are some people who can attract attention and also some views from the audience. And it is going to be very successful, I promise. And after
We have one more question in the chat. Natasha, sorry for the interruption.
in what ways do you believe a vegan diet contributes to environmental sustainability? Okay, so this is not the question to me because now I'm talking about leadership and influencing digital space, but we will come back to this question when I finish, okay? If that's okay, I will come back to you. Okay. So when you create your online community, then you go to different events and conferences, and you also try to organize your events and conferences. And sometimes when you have your community online, brands want to collaborate with you. For example, in Georgia, as we have 70,000 people, almost 80,000 people already in the Facebook group, so many clubs and bars and cafes try to collaborate with us, and we want to celebrate our birthday of the community together with one of the clubs, which means that we will be given this huge space and we will have opportunity to gather our people, celebrate together, and also discuss some of the topics and issues that we are concerned about. So this is one of the most powerful things that you can do in general. Brands are interested in to finance your events and conferences, and when you have a audience already, okay? So first you need to build online community, and then it's easier to monetize your community and also organize some of the events and conferences. Creating your own brand is also important, which means that you should have the values defined in the beginning, your principles, the ways how you communicate with your audiences. Do you do, for example, this replace with video when you get the comment, or do you, for example, meet people face to face? What kind of events do you organize? What kind of people do you work with, and so on? you should define that. And some people also try to build their brand by, for example, incorporating some of the colors. We have one of the influencers in Georgia who is called Pink Linago, which means that she likes this color very well and she uses it all the time. And usually when we talk about eco influencers, the green is the color that comes to our mind, maybe because of the environment and because of the green issues that we are concerned about, right? Sharing valuable content is also really important. So the content should not be, just content. The content should be educational, entertaining, interesting, and viral. It is really important to think about shareable component when you create the content. You should understand from the audience perspective why they should watch this video. What is interesting? Why should people want to just repost your video and share your video with their friends? Sometimes when we talk about activists and their content, we think about kind of, the danger in general, and sometimes danger is why people watch the videos of activists, okay? For example, you can just create two alternative realities. One might be the nice reality when everything is fixed, and one might be the reality where, for example, the ice melts and the environment changes a lot, and so on and so on. And then with this view, you can kind of intrigue people, the viewers. So this, just like facing alternative realities, might be interesting for the audience. And also, the last tip from you is that you should measure your impact all the time. And impact can be measured in different ways. It is better if you measure it in numbers. So if you see how many people watches your content, what works, what doesn't, how long do they watch your video. Sometimes like you record a 10 minutes long video, but people just watch first 20 seconds, which means that your message is gone and not heard. So it is important to know till what time do people watch your videos. And also, you have a real impact when something changes, right? If you talk about policy change and the policy changes, it means that you have a real impact. If people go and protest something just because you said so, or just because you explained it very well, it means that you have a real impact and you have a real influence. This is what I wanted to say. We just have 5 minutes, so I will stop, but I have so much to say about influencing and this topic in general, leadership. This is one of the passions of me. I will just wait for your comments and questions if you have regarding leadership and eco-influencing.
How do you think, what's the most effective and powerful tool in the hands of influencer to make people to feel the empathy? Because the empathy attracts attention and makes other think about it more. And what do you think? What's the
Yeah. Empathy and sympathy. And it depends on a topic. For example, we had this project with the EU in Georgia, and also we collaborate with Wolt Georgia. Do you know Wolt? This is a delivery company, and they
yes.
have boxes to just carry food around. And we just took the Wolt boxes and transformed it into the houses for dogs. And it was really nice to see how little doggies, stray doggies, would enter this home and they would feel warm, and they were so cute and so lovely. We just filmed these videos and it went viral. We also had influencer component, so we collaborated with, in Georgia, you might know Foxy Eleniko. She's one of the biggest influencers with largest audience in Georgia. And yeah, it became viral because of this cuteness, and because people have this feeling that if something and someone who is so cute and so lovely is left without the home outside in a winter, you know, that might be very harmful for the small creatures. And then we had so many people who wanted to donate to this program. So sometimes visuals help a lot, and storytelling. So you can do this kind of stuff in many ways. You can have, for example, this little house and puppies walking around it, or you just like start one puppy and tell the story of this puppy, how the puppy was abandoned, how the puppy lives in general, and like film different aspects of this puppy, and then create the video, and then also in this storyline incorporate the needs of the puppy and how people can help and donate.
Yeah, thank you for your answer.
Thank you for the question. Any other question? Yeah, it was really nice and impactful what you did with Walt. Okay, and do we have any vegan here? Yeah, me neither. Yeah,
From Greece, I don't think so.
yeah, you don't think so?
For me, it's really no.
Yeah. So this is really the question for the vegans, maybe, and veganism activists. So in my case, I have vegan tendencies in my life. I don't really like to eat meat, but this comes from me and myself because I feel bad about hurting animals. And, you know, when you can get alternative proteins or something, why should you hurt someone? So this is a reason for me, not environmental sustainability, but of course there is an argument that, for example, farms really damage environment because of the pollution and gas, and so on. So that's why vegans promote veganism. But this is not the only argument, and I'm not as experienced in this topic to talk about it and convince someone right now to be a vegan, because I'm not myself. And I'm sorry that I cannot be more, experienced on this topic. But if someone wants to speak about it, I'm happy to give a space. Okay, not anymore entirely. I added fish recently, but veganism impacts the environment because of the CO. Yeah, emissions, how much cows make versus us just eating plant-based without the extra animal in between. Yeah, I agree. And thanks for explaining. Okay, thank you everyone for staying with us. I hope it was more or less interesting. If you want to comment on it, I would be happy to hear your impressions, or you can just communicate through chat.
Thank you for the webinar. It was very interesting and helpful, I think.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much for listening. And I hope I did not waste 1 hour of your life. Thank you. Thank you so much. I see the comments in the...
Thank you
Thank
so
you very
much. It was impressive. Your presentation was impressive. Too many things I have no idea about their existence. It was great. Thank you so much. So as we come to the close of today's webinar, I wanted to extend a big thank you to all of you for joining us and sharing in this experience. We'd like to hear your thoughts about today's webinar, so please take a moment to fill out a short evaluation form. I will upload it to the chat box in a few seconds. Your feedback is not only appreciated, but essential in helping us making these webinars even better. So thank you once more for your participation. Thank you, Natasha, for your presentation. Give me seconds to upload the link for the evaluation form.
It was really interesting. Thanks a lot. That was really useful information.
Thank you so much for listening, and I hope we are going to have some eco-influencers after that as well. That was my intention, to motivate you to start creating content, because everybody's content matters and people are watching, and people are getting inspiration from you. And you can, as I mentioned before, locally, you have even more power because you know the topic even better than someone from far away who is an expert in the field, and so on. So please, please, please create as many pieces of content as possible because it matters and people get inspiration from you. Thank you.